For a series of adventure stories, Star Wars has a very interesting perspective on adventure. It's summarized very succinctly by Yoda. Adventure, excitement. A Jedi craves not these things. And you're welcome for me not subjecting you to my bad Yoda voice. So why, though? Why would a Jedi not seek adventure or excitement? A lot of people think that's what they want out of life, and a lot of people think that they are adventurers or thrill seekers when they're just adrenaline junkies. So let's talk about adventure and excitement and why a Jedi craves not these things as we walk together down Creation's Path. Hello, everyone. My name is Charlie. I am a Christopagan Druid and Priest of Bridget.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian. I'm a Christopagan Druid and sous chef to the Dogda.
Today, we're going to be talking about why a Jedi, or really anyone, should not crave adventure and excitement. And be warned, there may be personal anecdotes in this one. But before we get into all that, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whatever the terminology happens to be on whatever platform you're listening to us on. We do 5 original Christopagan and Druid episodes Monday through Friday, including this, our Jedi and Druidry series. And we've started our Living the Dream of the Oak Church, where we're doing deep dives into Christopagan theology, practice, mysticism, and all that. You don't want to miss a thing. So we got a lot of really cool stuff coming up. All right, let's get into it now, shall we? Look, I'm going to just start this episode by saying nobody really wants to have an adventure. We think we do. And then we have one, and then we're just like, thank God that's over. Because adventures have a lot of danger in them and a lot of risk and peril. And these are things that people think that they want until they actually experience them.
I think the first misstep in that is confusing exploration with adventure seeking.
Like a really good way to curse somebody is to wish them an exciting life. I feel like my youth was very exciting and I wish it upon no one. Absolutely no one. I got to do a lot of things. I got to experience a lot of things. I remember thinking in my late 20s how boring life was going to be after that point because I had experienced so many varied things that there really was nothing new left to experience. I'm both glad and sad that I was wrong about that, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah, excitement is not all that it's cracked up to be.
A lot of it goes into the intention set in. So you're going to explore with the intention of exploring. So you go into this new place and you're seeking out to understand, to learn, to grow. If you're going to that new place seeking an adventure, you're going to be looking for something that is exciting and dramatic. Problem is if there isn't anything there exciting or dramatic, the urge to create or cause excitement or dramatic moments, that pressure will build and build.
I've had many an adventure in New York City and am continuously amazed that nobody in the hospital from any of them. Because adventure, unlike exploration, I like you contrasting these two things. Adventure necessitates a sense of peril. Like it's not an adventure until something goes terribly wrong. That's usually how most adventures start. There are many trips that I took to New York that are just trips. The adventures I took to New York were, we decided to take a 24-hour trip to New York. And while we were walking through Times Square with a friend of ours who had never been there before, unexpected snowflakes started falling from the sky. And we knew that we had a long trek back to Maryland so that we could be at work in the morning. That was the sign that the adventure had begun. Oh, it's snowing. Why is it snowing? Did anybody know it was going to snow? And then that led to, concussions. We got shot at one point. Like it was, everything unraveled from there. And it was truly an adventure. We got back, we laughed, we tell stories about it to this day. Would I ever do it again? No. But it starts with, and then something went wrong. And if you listen to all adventure stories, they have this sense of, and then everything went off the rails. And that's where the adventure part of the story happened.
It really does. I think this is one of those things you can see in Star Wars over and over again, especially when you get into the Clone Wars and you're looking at it from a bigger scale than just each individual episode. There's a large problem, especially in the youth Jedi, where they go out seeking adventure and excitement, and unfortunately, they find it. And they end up in all these very tense battles. Many of them end up dead. Lots of problems are caused because it goes back to that law of returning tide. You get back what you put out. So if you're putting out this need and this energy for adventure and excitement, that's what's going to come back. And that really isn't what I think anybody really wants in their life.
So what is the root problem here? The root problem here is that you're seeking a particular experience rather than the experience you're going to have. Skeleton Crew does a really good job of showing why you don't seek adventure. And it's not because the kids ended up going on an adventure. It's several of the kids had preconceived notions as to what the adventure should be. And so we see them disappointed because they're having this grand experience, but it's not living up to the storybooks that they thought that they were living. It's not living up to the terrors that they thought they would find. It's not exactly what they thought it would be. And that's really the heart behind why you don't seek adventure. It's a form of prejudice against the future. When you're saying that I want to have an adventure, you are saying that you want this, whatever it is, to be thrilling, to be exciting, and to be a roller coaster ride that's going to take you along through a series of events to get you to some predetermined destination.
And like you said, it also blinds the person on the journey from the present moment. They often miss a lot of what is actually going on, and they don't get to learn or experience a lot of that, the real value in that journey. This is why I like to juxtapose it with exploring. So with exploring, if you're putting out that intention to go out to learn, that it puts you more in that mindset of being in the moment, in that present moment, so that you can see the opportunities, you can see the dangers, and make better decisions, more conscious choices. You still have experiences and stuff, but you're able to, I think, learn more from it.
And see, that's the key right there. It's about mindfulness. You can go, if you go on a journey mindfully, honestly, and this sounds like a cliche, and to anybody who is younger than me listening to the sound of my voice, you're going to just roll your eyes and say, okay, old person. But any journey can be an adventure if you enter it in a state of mindfulness, because you can find all kinds of unexpected side trips and little things, little side quests to get involved in along the way. But when you set up with, oh, let's take the cliche, this is going to be the greatest weekend ever, the greatest weekend ever, you're setting up expectations. Those expectations will cloud how every experience that follows is experienced, how you actually feel it. Is it living up to this preconceived, presupposed, prejudiced idea of what this moment is supposed to be? Some of my favorite memories from conventions when I was young are actually quiet times. They're like when we stopped for pizza, or when we were going and getting our seats in one of the auditoriums for one of the talks or shows that was going on, and just some of the conversations that happened there. Yeah, we could talk about the exciting things, the cosplay, the various LARPs and whatever that happened at those conventions. And yes, those were exciting and they were wonderful, but those aren't the parts that I remember. It's the little adventures that happened along the way. It really is the people that I met along the way. And because I never knew what was going to happen, because I'd been to enough conventions to know that they were going to be whatever they ended up being, I stopped having anticipation, right? I stopped having any preconceived notions. I didn't know if I was going to meet new friends, if I was going to see old friends that were back again. I didn't know what costumes people were going to be showing up in. I didn't know what shenanigans were going to unveil or present themselves at any of these events. And so the adventure, if you will, could take shape spontaneously. Well, I had a friend that I would often go with who had very set goals, almost a checklist of, it's adventure weekend. This weekend, I am going to A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And if they did not all happen, or if they did not happen in the order or manner that they wanted those events to happen in, they would leave the convention with a sense of it was okay. I was like, were you at the same event that I was at?
Very true.
And it's because they had set out for an adventure. That adventure had a checklist. There was a certain level of excitement, a certain level of thrill that they were expecting that they may or may not have achieved. I never set out to meet any of the celebrities that I met at any of the conventions that I went to. I just happened to walk into a bar and there they are. Several times I would be sitting at a table and they would just wander over for reasons I do not know. I didn't seek to find. And that's really the key difference there. As we mentioned in the previous episode, the key to the dark side is this selfishness, this solipsism, this idea that the universe has to cater to you. And that really is the problem with having an adventure mindset. You're not only expecting the world to cater to you and to give you this thrill that you're seeking, but you have now convinced yourself that you are the main character of the story. You are on an adventure, so everyone and everything that you encounter along the way is at best an NPC and at worst is an obstacle that has to be defeated to get you to the place of joy that you're trying to get to. And that's what I mean when I say you're prejudicing the future.
It really does create a dangerous mindset and one that is wrought with bad relationship to your environment, to others around you once you're in that mindset.
Most of the most joyful moments of our lives are going to occur spontaneously. You can't guess, you can't know that they're going to happen.
I think this kind of goes into the other part of that is that adventure-seeking mindset. This one, like you said, it's born out of more of that selfish perspective. And along with that tends to come that craving for order, where one thinks they can have an adventure in the manner in which they want it laid out with all the rails and safety nets and everything involved. And the thing is, life is messy.
Yes.
Life isn't ordered. There is adventurous stuff happening all around us all the time, incredible and exciting things, and just a matter of engaging in life. As some would say, just saying yes to life and being mindful of it, one can experience a lot of that excitement and drama.
And when you look at some of the best villains in Star Wars, they are the ones that this is the sin that set them on the wrong path. This is what, after all, messed Anakin Skywalker up. He was in it for the adventure, and that made him the main character of his own story. Count Dooku is the same way. He is the main character of his story. Palpatine is the main character of his story. Saw Gerrera is the main character of his story. And we see them not only end up doing a lot of terrible things, but to be blind to their bad actions because this is what has to happen for them to achieve their own personal goals. It's why I really love the story arc that we get to see for Asajj Ventress, because we get to see her on both sides of this arc, from her being the main character of the story to her not being the main character of the story.
You get to see that shift where she's no longer seeking out, she's just participating in life and being mindful of what's going on. And the exciting stuff still happens around her. She's allowing herself to fill the role that she needs to fill in the moment and space that she's in, which is fun because sometimes she can be the lead, sometimes she's support character in the moment, and sometimes she tries to just be background and life doesn't let her do that, but sometimes it does.
Because it is hard for us to understand that we are not the main character of the story because we live in our own heads. And of course, you're always going to be the main character to your own story in some way, shape, or form because you do not have perfect understanding, empathy, or knowledge of what's going on with other people. But when that gets translated into thinking that you are the main character of the story, right? Count Dooku assumed he was going to be the successor to the Emperor. He's the main character. This is all the prequel to his rise to power. This is the grand story of his rise to power because he is the main character in his own story. Whereas Obi-Wan never centered himself in the story. Even in places where we really wanted him to, like with Satine and his relationship with the Duchess Satine. He put his cause, he put his beliefs, he put the fight that he was engaged in before his own, if you will, narrative satisfaction. I think it's a polite way to put it. And didn't run off with the love of his life. He didn't do it when he was younger. and he didn't do it as a Jedi Master. He could have gone off on that adventure, and it would have unraveled the story. Because what would have happened without Obi-Wan? The entire
Mm.
story would have unraveled, and yes, somebody else would have been there, but who? And how would that have changed how any of the other events played out?
Also, what might have happened to the Mandalorians if Satine hadn't been there to help them to see that there is a path of peace
There's a path
that they
other than
don't,
war and violence.
other than war, yeah, and violence. And they could have been far scarier if some of the other factions had rose to power without resistance and were able to get the culture to back them and the society to back them.
But you can see the difference. Obi-Wan is living his life and taking with it the excitement and thrills and whatever that comes with it. Anakin, on the other hand, is definitely trying to control his life. He gets to the point where he is so sure that he is the main character that he believes that he can find a way to defy death. And this is a little bit of a spoiler, but we knew that this was going to happen because of the Bad Batch, and the Bad Batch has been out for a while. So I don't feel like it's still a spoiler, but we see in the return of Asajj Ventress, she was not seeking to defy death. And yet she does through great sacrifice on her part. She had to decenter herself, her wants, her ambitions. I love this because you can see this interesting parallel between the life and love affair between Quinlan Vos and Asajj Ventress and Anakin and Padme, because they both love each other. They both have strong love. They're both afraid of losing the other. Anakin cannot save Padme. Quinlan may never know that he saved Ventress. He might find out later, but it was not his intention. It was not his goal. It was not what he was doing. It was his pure love of her that allowed her to be healed and to be restored and to be brought back, because he listened to her and her wants and her desires and brought her back to her ancestral homeland where he knew she would want to be buried. And it was that love that reanimated her. And I love just this comparison between Quinlan and Ventress and Anakin and Padme, because he fought for her. You never read the book Dark Disciple and you like space opera adventure stories, very good book. Highly recommend it. Really enjoyed it. And their love is fraught and so beautiful and so earned. But it's not the grasping love that Anakin had. Quinlan never sees himself as the main character to the story. He knows he's there on a mission. He resists his emotions for such a long time because they're not part of the mission. And so when everything goes down, like it does at the end of that book, and again, I highly recommend it, because even knowing that one part of it, you don't know the end of that book. But even with the events that happened, he is broken, but not devastated at her loss. The fear of Padme's loss destroys Anakin and causes him to destroy everything, because he's the main character. He's there for the adventure. He's there for the excitement. Of course, the main character gets everything that he wants.
Yeah. He can't save Mace Windu from Palpatine's lightning in the moment, or have Palpatine brought to justice, or even have the proper debate with Mace Windu that should have happened when Mace Windu was falling to the dark side in that moment. Instead, she has to kill Mace Windu because Palpatine has to be there to teach him how to stop death.
Which he doesn't do.
Which he doesn't do.
Because he can't do it. Because
He
he's
doesn't
not
know
alive.
Yeah. But he is so busy seeking the adventure that he wasn't being in the moment to see the moment for what it was.
I think this is why a lot of people look back and think of youth as a time that's wasted. And a lot of it is, because there's a lot of learning that I wish we could do from books. I wish we could do from anecdotes. I wish we were, as a species, better at listening to the wisdom of others and letting it shape us than we are. But there are some lessons we refuse to learn until we experience them ourselves. And that's a bitter pill to swallow. It's one of the great traumas of being a parent, is realizing that sometimes your kids are going to make mistakes that you can't save them from, because they know better until they don't know better.
That's the thing for me. Like I learned this lesson sometimes the hard way, where I used to go out seeking adventure and excitement. And I found a lot of adventure and excitement But I also found that wasn't satisfying. That wasn't what I really wanted.
And like me, you have the scars to prove it.
Yeah, lots of scars to prove it. If I would have gone out with the intention of exploring, I wouldn't have made bad choices in the moment, choices that were intentionally provocative rather than choices to learn and grow and experience life.
I feel like it's important to add a little addendum onto this. I'm not saying that we should obey everyone who says, don't do this, it's dangerous, don't do this, it's wrong. Sometimes that's how we learn. No one can break the sound barrier, they told people over and over and over again. And then we broke the sound barrier. Was it dangerous? Yes. Was it a risk? Yes. Did he crash the plane almost immediately afterwards? Yes. Did he walk away from the crash? Remarkably, somehow, yes.
But once again, going back to why I try to create that distinction between exploration and adventure, it's back to that intention that you set at the beginning and carry with you throughout the experience. If you're there to learn and to grow, that's very different. And you can still have exciting moments and dangerous moments. And a lot of those things can still happen along the way. You could still walk away with incredible tales and stories, but you don't have that added risk and lack of awareness.
Yeah, if I can get into like full old person advice mode here, the best adventures I've had in my life are the ones that I did not seek out, but only recognized as adventures in hindsight.
Yep.
Because
Very much.
we're not saying never have an adventure. We're saying not to presuppose the ending. One of my favorite adventures we ever went on is we were going on a pilgrimage cross country. I had no idea what we were going to find when we got there. I had no idea even really how to get where we were going. We literally had paper maps. This was before we had smartphones, or I don't even know that if GPS existed at the time. It did exist because a friend of ours had one, but they were really expensive and had a really expensive monthly payment for one. We didn't even have that. We literally had paper maps, and we would stop somewhere at night and scour the map trying to figure out, okay, so for the next leg of the trip, we need to go from this road to this road to this road to this road, and have to figure it out as we were going. We had no idea how we were going to get where we needed to go. Shout out to the wonderful people at the military base in Albuquerque who helped us continuously to get back on the highway, because the roads around there are confusing.
And for their patience.
Their
exceeding patience. Because by the fifth time we came through the gate and got turned around, they must have been like, wow.
We got an army escort back to the highway because they realized we weren't getting it. But it was an amazing adventure. A couple years ago, we took a trip to Chicago. That was just supposed to be a trip to Chicago with we're going to meet some people that we had known online, but we're going to meet in real life for the first time. And I, of course, injured myself in the car ride on the way up there because, hi, my name is Charlie. I do that with a lot of knee and back problems. So this could have gone all kinds of wrong. And in many ways, it did go all kinds of wrong. But all I had in mind was we're going to go up and visit some people that we know and get to actually meet with them in real life. And it turned into a grand adventure that I have so many memories of, and so many things happened that it feels like we were there for a month. And we weren't. It was just really a couple days that we were there together.
It wasn't even a full week.
And I could go through so many others, but they were adventures in hindsight. They were just, it's a trip we're going to take. Oh, it's a place we're going to go. Oh, I'm going to go hang out with some friends at a local restaurant tonight. And then madcap amazingness follows. And they're things that I never would have planned to do. I think that's the last little bit of advice that I would put on this. Is when we plan out our adventures, we miss all the best parts because we don't know that they're there.
Yeah, because those opportunities happen as part of the journey. If you're fixated on the destination and the few fixed points along the way, you'll miss all the other opportunities.
Yeah. Presupposing the future is a dangerous thing. Seeking to possess the future or control it is a terrible thing, because none of us can control the future. Not a single one of us. We can aim. We can give ourselves direction. We can move down a certain path, but know that at any point we could be diverted off into any number of side streets and find any number of amazing things. So like the Jedi, we need to remember that adventure, excitement, a wise person does not seek out these things, though we do often stumble into them. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I would love to know your thoughts on this, whether you think we misunderstood what Yoda was saying, or if you have your own adventure that you would like to share in the comments. If you're listening to us on YouTube, Spotify, or CreationsPaths.com, you can leave a comment right there. Anywhere else, even if they say that you leave a comment, they do not notify us and we will not know. So you can leave a comment there anyway if you want to, because engagement is magic. Or just head on over to CreationsPaths.com, click on chat, and you can leave a comment there. While you're there, if you happen to have a few dollars you can pass our way, we offer monthly and annual memberships. You can also support us on Patreon and Ko-fi. I am CE Dorset on both. You can also support us using the Cash App, hashtag CreationsPaths. Thank you to everybody who does that. It really does mean the world to us. It helps us keep the lights on, keep a roof over our head, and food on our table. If we've ever said anything that's helped you out, please share that with others, because that helps us out more than you know. And as we are heading out, Lou, we're talking to you again. Ildanach, the master of many arts, the master of all the arts. You never sought adventure, but oh, they found you all the same. Help us to have the strength and determination to get through whatever life may throw our way, whether it's a crown, a battle, or just a poetry contest that we find ourselves inadvertently at. Give us the strength to do what we need to do and the skill to develop and grow. Amen.
Amen.